Hi, everybody. I thought I would try a weekend live. I was just outside. Let me fix up. Okay, so I'm just going to take anybody's questions, free for all. You can throw out questions on any topic. Some people thought that we only talk about relationships in my group, and that's not true. So if you do want to join my group, keep in mind that it is everything that we can talk about in there. I was just taking my daughter to an audition, so that was a cute little thing to do on the weekend, and we visited the neighborhood we used to live, and yeah, so etc. I hope everybody's having a fun weekend. So now is a good time for a weekend chat about any topics that are on you guys' minds so that I can answer. Because a lot of people have told me they really like these lives and it is time for them to, be able to ask anything they want. So send a like if you are watching, and that's the only way I know that you're watching is if you send a like or if you comment. Comment is certainly preferable because then I know who's there. And if you do not know me, I am a clinical psychologist in private practice, all online, all virtual in Maryland. And I run a group practice too. So you can ask any sorts of questions related to really anything. And some topics that have been on my mind recently have been career, midlife, aging, and intimacy. And those are things that people come in and talk about a lot in my practice. Because a lot of people, most people are in their 30s plus and are reckoning with, really being in the heart of your adulthood and thinking about whether this is all there is and whether you're satisfied, whether you're happy with your life is a super huge topic. So certainly send me a like if you are watching right now. I see that 7 of you are watching, so send a like or a love or anything. Any face is good. And I see that I only see 2 faces. That's the weird part. I wonder if it only shows me the faces of people who are super fans or I don't know what. But yeah, just type where you're from or say hello or say anything you wish I would talk about, because maybe I'll just start talking about it. And that could be a resource. And for free, you can get the advice that, that I think is best on any topic, which is certainly not going to be the be all and end all, but a lot of people find it useful. 10 of you watching now on this Saturday. That's awesome. Send a like if you're watching. Send a smiley face. Send whatever you send. 12 likes. Scott says, this is the first live that I've stumbled upon. Well, Scott, you must be more industrious than the average man, because usually I do this during the work week, and you must be a guy that does not go on Facebook Lives during the work week, which is to your credit. So now I am doing one that is during the weekend. So Scott, this is your moment, man. You can ask any question you want because it seems to be that nobody's asking anything. But that can change. Anybody can ask anything at any moment about any topics you're interested in too. Some guy on my YouTube wanted me to talk more about stay-at-home dads, but I do not have a lot of stay-at-home dads in my customer client base. What's that called? Clientele, caseload. But I mean, I guess I could, but I mean, it's not something that is the majority of my clients for sure. Although it may be more and more younger people as gender roles change. Hello, Amber. How are you? You gave me a smiley face. Thank you. Smiley face is definitely good. Amber, do you have any questions? I always like your questions. Or, your topics. And what else? Me just talking to myself, not that interesting, guys. So anything, Scott, I'm having high hopes from you for a topic request. Thank you, Amber. Pinch hitting, coming in strong. Amber says, what are ways women can do romantic things for their partner that the man will appreciate? Well, girl, here's the thing. A lot of guys are not very romantic in the classic sense of flowers and candy. More highly sensitive guys definitely appreciate words of affirmation. Actually, most guys appreciate a nice word of affirmation and thank you so much and appreciation for what they do and recognition. But in terms of buying them an awesome gift, I don't know, a lot of men are less into that than women are. sex and physical touch are considered very romantic by the average dude. And any sort of little touch or kiss or cuddle that's what many guys are physically touch oriented, and that's what they think of as very romantic. But aside from that, I do have a post on ways to show your husband you love him or something, and that do not include sex, because somebody asked for that years ago. And it was appreciation, recognition, basically just being nice and loving in a verbal way as well as in a physical way. And that's about that. So as long as you are doing that, there's not a lot of guys who come into therapy and are like, man, she really messed up Father's Day. I didn't get anything good at all. Does she even care? I don't really get that a lot. I get that after Mother's Day. The statistic is that Ashley Madison memberships, that site that's all people trying to cheat with each other, go up after Mother's Day more than any other week in the year because women are mad. And I can attest to that. After couples counseling, the week after Mother's Day, it's like a garbage fire. Women are so disgusted. They're like, I bust my ass all year and he did not even have the kids make a card. Man, I don't even want to be in this marriage. But so women are really big into appreciation and recognition and gifts for Mother's Day. It doesn't have to be a big gift. It could be a candle, but something. Whereas for Father's Day, if a guy gets a blowjob, he's winning. So do not try on Mother's Day to tell a woman that her gift is going to be oral sex. I don't want your marriage to end. So yeah, romance looks different. Is the TLDR on that is romance looks different to different genders, usually. Tom here says, thank you for your advice on a woman that is not interested in sex. Well, that is a large preponderance of what I write about, Tom, so I don't know exactly what you're referring to, but I do write about that and speak about that on my podcast, the Dr. Psych Mom Show, that you should all be listening to often. Nathan here says, how do you keep a spark alive in a long-distance relationship? Oh, I have a post on that. You should Google it on Dr. Psych Mom. I wrote about that years ago. But generally, texting, calling, sending little gifts, discussing deeper questions instead of just small talk, such as my 100 date night questions, which you can also Google. Basically, the point is you don't want to just be texting each other logistical shit and basically living totally separately. You want to try to incorporate each other, a lot of FaceTime, a lot of video chatting, and a lot of extra affection and romance, because you're not there to do anything physical. So you have to be romantic verbally. So that's a lot of compliments. If you see what she, ask her to send you a picture of what she's wearing that day, tell her how beautiful she looks, etc. Things like that. I do have a post about it too. And long distance relationships are difficult. So hopefully that is not going to be forever, but just for a finite amount of time. Amber says, true. He says he only wants oral for a gift. Well, that is how you're romantic to him. So what many women mean by how can I be romantic except for sex is, man, I do not want to have sex. How could I pretend that I'm still doing something for him? I'm not saying this is you, Amber, but that's common. And the answer is you cannot do something for somebody that they don't want and pretend that it's something that they want to get out of doing something that you don't want. You just can't do that. You would not want him to do that. You wouldn't want him to be like, the thing is, I don't really like date night. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just have us watch the game together at home. And that's cool, right? You wouldn't really like that. So, and there's 25 people watching. So send likes, guys. It's a big audience right now. Bigger than I expected. Send likes. So anyway, Amber, oral it is, or at least something. I mean, he may say he wants oral, but probably lots of sex would be great. Anything physical, a picture of you, lingerie. I mean, anything, could in the bucket, right? So you can't write him a sonnet and be like, I thought this was as good as a BJ, because it's not what he wanted, not his love language. Scott says, I love how you put so many things, behaviors, actions, and dynamics into the context of human evolution. It's always so insightful. Why, thank you. What are the top 1 to 2 concepts in the context of evolution that explains modern human behavior in relationships? I don't know. It's kind of a big question, Scott, for on the spot, but obviously the perpetuation of our species is the reason that we're here. So everything can be understood in that. So a woman going through menopause doesn't want sex, and this is I work with really, really smart people. A lot of guys are CEOs and stuff. And I'll be like, she's not going to want sex because her body can't make a baby anymore. And they're like, what? You know, these are like guys who are like scientists. And it's like, wait, what? So the major thing that I would say is important for everybody to understand is that our species is predicated on its survival and the perpetuation via, sex, right? So if you can't make a baby anymore, even, and that's writ large for menopause, right? And that's not everybody, right? Of course there's other reasons for sex. But of course your drive is going to drop over time as fertility wanes. And of course in the second half of your cycle where you can't make a baby, you're not going to want sex nearly as much as in the first half of your cycle, particularly the few days leading up to ovulation. Because of this main precept, which is that our species is predicated upon, perpetuation of itself. And if you want another one, I don't really know another one. That's like the big one. So the things that men want in a woman, right? So they want her to want sex and to be loving and affectionate, right? Why? Make more babies and take good care of the babies that he gives her. Whereas what do women want? They want to feel taken care of. They want to feel provided for and safe. That's because that would be a good father for their babies. I mean, a lot of stuff is just based on this, So I would stick to you asked for 1 to 2. So there you go. That's my 1. Heather Jane says, won't praise me or tell me I do well at anything. You're welcome, Scott. I don't know if, Heather, if this was in context of a larger, what were we talking about, Mother's Day and how that sucks for some women? Well, you could get them into couples counseling, Heather, and discuss that you have words of affirmation is your love language and you never got enough praise growing up and that's why you want it, and it would really make you feel good if he said some nice things. And he may have to learn how to do that. I have a post called, It Isn't Bad If Your Husband Needs to Learn the Words to Make You Feel Close. Because in his family growing up, he probably didn't get praised for shit. And he's not a highly sensitive person. And so he has literally no idea what you want him to say. Literally. And that's where couples counseling can help. Or just basic education or instruction. And send me a like if you are watching, guys. Because those are like gold here. In the social media land, if you give me likes, thumbs up, then I am shown to more people, and that's great for me. Because I always get throttled by Facebook because I talk about sex. So it's like they don't know whether to block me or not at any given point. Any more questions? These are all great questions, guys. Excellent, excellent questions. I see 24 people watching, so I'm sure you have so many questions. Or you could just tell me a little bit about a topic that you're interested in me talking about, and I could just talk about it randomly. Thank you for the loves. Thank you for the likes. Or you could say where you're located. That's always good. I'll tell you if I have a therapist there. That would be even more useful. But Scott, what were you saying? Another concept. What would be another concept? Let me think, because nobody else is asking me anything. In the context of evolution, that would explain modern human. Well, Rochester, New Hampshire. Well, that is nice. I don't think I've ever been to New Hampshire. But thank you for joining me from New Hampshire. That's a long way away, and it must be cold there. I'm in Maryland, so it's not as cold here. Colorado, that's cool. That is far away. I do have multiple therapists in Colorado, so if you ever wanted to reach out for one, I could certainly set you up with a therapist person in Colorado. I have never been to Colorado, actually, ever. But anyway, yeah, I do think that that's pretty much it in terms of evolution. Another one is why women like funny guys is due to evolution, because they're smart and they think about, they think quickly. And somebody who could think quickly can protect you and your babies from an attacker, or they can hunt better, or whatever the hell they have to do to keep you surviving. Somebody from Ontario, from Kentucky, from Arkansas, from Alberta. Oh, you're all the way from Alberta, Kaylee? No shit. I did not know that. Rachel here has a topic suggestion. Reignition of marriage. So you mean getting the spark again. That's usually a card term. But reignition of marriage during the beginning of empty nest. That would be cool. Some people say that happens to them, Rachel. Some people say that when their kids leave the house, they're finally gone and they're not going to be walking in. And so the woman relaxes enough to enjoy sex more. So that would be wonderful. Plus you have time to travel and time to do dates and they are either in college or they're not, or whatever it is. You have more of a handle on how much you have to pay for them. And so you could feel financially more flush. Some people do. And so that could be a really good time for you guys to reconnect. Of course, this does dovetail with the beginning of menopause for many women, but still, there are lots of mental factors in love and relationships and marriage. So as long as you're not expecting to have the sex life of two 20-year-olds, then, and your expectations are in line with real life, then this could be a lovely time. And in fact, this is when the happiness U-shaped curve, that's when happiness starts to go up again. It's when the kids leave the house, because it's really stressful to parent teenagers, which I have a post coming out about and a podcast. And so you could definitely, would definitely be a great time for you to focus on your marriage and to do a lot of fun things and to, as I said, date nights, travel, sex during the day, anything you want. If you have more specific questions, that's a great topic. You can tell me, comment and whatever. Tom here is from Indianapolis. That is a nice city that I have never been to, just like many of those other ones. I don't think I've been to Arkansas either. I definitely have not been to Alberta. I've been to Toronto and Montreal. That's where I've been to. Rita here says, have you done a lot on hormone replacement therapy for women? It's been a game changer for me. I talk about it because I'm not an MD. I don't talk about it super much. I have a podcast on when women don't want hormone replacement, because that's a big one where I see guys trying to push women into that when they don't want to do it. But generally, yes, it can be, especially the testosterone component can really raise women's libido, and the estrogen cream can be transformative for reversing some vaginal atrophy. Some women, though, have bad reactions to various hormones, So it's not a panacea for all women. I'm super glad that it's working well for you, and I hope that it continues to. And certainly it's something that if women are interested in, they could go to an integrative doctor or a functional medicine doctor. And those sorts of doctors usually do a full blood panel and they assess your levels of all hormones. Somebody said that like nobody can check women's hormones until they're done menstruating. That's garbage. That's not true. That's just, that's wrong. Of course they can. In fact, when you're going in for fertility treatment, that's like the first thing they do is they assess your levels of estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone to make sure you're doing okay in all those domains. So that would be who to go to if you're interested in hormone replacement therapy. Amber says, my 3-year-old is a terror. It gets worse. Oh, Amber, I don't want to upset you, but the teenage years are far worse. They make the 3-year-old, I mean, you're going to be looking at pictures of this 3-year-old and crying because where did that sweet little boy/girl go? They have been replaced by this pod person. Teenage years are much worse, but on the positive side, at that point, they're closer to leaving the house. So, enjoy that 3-year-old, man. And I'm sure everybody can concur with me that has a teenager. 3-year-old is awesome compared to that. But you do have a really good time in elementary school. Elementary school years are generally the best. So maybe 4 or 5 until 11, 12, that's the sweet spot. That's when to get those family trips in. That's when to really feel self-congratulatory as a parent. And then it all goes to shit for many people, but possibly not yours. Who the hell knows? I mean, yours could be a perfect teenager. Anyway, I do wish you all the best with that. Anybody have any other questions? These are all really great questions. Everybody seems to be really involved on a weekend. Probably you guys are all bored at home with kids and you're engaging. So that's awesome. Send likes if you're watching. Remember, just sending one like is not enough. Send as many likes as you can. That is what is best for Dr. Psych Mom. And we are a team here at Dr. Psych Mom headquarters. And actually we are. There's me and my husband who does a lot of the admin stuff. Like at Best Life, at my group practice, he writes back a lot to people, gets them scheduled and simple practice and stuff. And he makes all those memes, those pink ones. He goes through and he gets quotes. He takes words right from the post and he makes them into those memes in the style that I used to make them in. So if you like those things I share that are pink, that's my husband. Dwayne here says, do you ever tell/teach guys ways how to decrease their sexual desire? If so, has it ever helped a relationship in your experience? Well, Dwayne, that's an interesting question because there, in fact, is a really interesting answer, which is this. When men stop using porn, their drive goes to whatever their natural drive is. Porn acts as a fluffer, basically. Your body, your brain, was never supposed to see hundreds of beautiful women within 5 minutes doing any sexual act that you wanted. So therefore, it's like a drug. It's just like your brain was never supposed to have the amount of dopamine released as would be released if you snorted coke, right? So porn acts like a drug in that way. And it primes the man and it fluffs him. And if he's watching porn every day, then he goes around seeing sex everywhere. He's like at Starbucks and he's like picturing the barista and like the other barista and him. And he's like, oh, they probably want it, because he's thinking about sex all the time. Because his brain has been flooded by these images that induce this drug-like, this drug-induced euphoria, right? So men will be like, I'll get like men, they're like 50 years old, they're like, man, I don't know what you're talking about, because my sex drive is exactly where it was when I was 20. And I'm like, oh yeah, how much porn do you watch? They're like, oh, not much, just like 15 minutes a day, not a big deal. I'm like, all right, why don't you not try for like 2 weeks till we meet again? Why don't you try not to use porn? You could still masturbate, just don't use any porn. And if they do it, because a lot of guys won't, it's like too depressing, but if they do it, they're like, oh, like I couldn't even finish without porn, like, like I wasn't even getting hard after a while. I was like kind of bored, and I kind of then went back to porn a little bit because it got a little bit depressing. But yeah, I kind of see your point. So, Dwayne, what's so amazing is that there's no way that I would ever tell anybody to decrease their sex drive, their natural sex drive, but certainly some artificial high and some artificial fluffed, primed state that a man gets from constant pornography consumption that brings him super far away from his wife in terms of libido. And it's not even real. So that's the best way to see where you're actually at and if your compatibility with your wife's drive may be more than you actually think. And I talk about that in Porn Use and Marriage, my podcast. And I think 4 reasons that porn is bad for your marriage, a recent Dr. Psych Mom post. Hopefully that was useful to you. Brad here says, my wife, 42, is an early... I'm 42 also, Brad. We're like sisters, me and your wife. Is in early menopause, ooh, that is early, and has zero interest in sex and no responsive desire. She is on a hormone patch. That's going to be estrogen, I think. That's not going to be testosterone. And no responsive desire. But she still has no sexual desire. She also never wants to be touched or touches me. Any advice? Well, my entire blog is about things like this, Brad. You should go into couples counseling first, because it's if your wife is like many women, she has absolutely no idea how important sex is to you and why. She thinks it's all about getting off, so you should probably just jerk off and leave her alone. And it's not like that. It's like not like that at all. It would be if somebody liked playing pool and you said, why don't you just go play pool by yourself and you could be both people? That's not the same thing as playing pool, right? So it's also an expression of love, connection, and intimacy. However, if she's in early menopause, then it fucking hurts, right? So her vagina literally hurts, and it's all of sex is like trying to eat a meal when she's not hungry, or trying to eat a meal when she has COVID and can't smell it or taste it. That's what it feels like. So this is a time where she is probably mourning her lost libido and very, very emotionally distraught over having gone into menopause 10 years earlier than the average woman, which really does a number on many women's self-esteem. The fact that they are not anywhere near young anymore or fertile, and they didn't expect it. It came out of nowhere. So she's going through some shit. So it would be good if she was in therapy, but also she doesn't really probably know how emotionally important the sexual intimacy is to you as a form of connection. And a couples therapist can help you guys with that, because if she just thinks about sex as something that, and also you're young, so if you stay with her, then you're basically not having sex for the next 4 decades, right? So that wouldn't be good. And so she's got to kind of understand where you're coming from if she wants to stay together. Maybe she doesn't want to stay together, right? Maybe she would be okay with an open marriage because she's so disgusted by sex at this point. But many women, when they realize that this is like a real thing and it means love to the guy and it means vulnerability and closeness and intimacy and connection, they will try to play ball to keep their marriage, which means learning about responsive desire, which she probably denies because she doesn't know about it. So education is a huge thing. but also like coming forward. Maybe she's not thrilled with a lot of the ways that you act. Maybe she feels you're not supportive in various domains. I don't know. But if you start to be whatever she wants you to be, communicate more, be more romantic, I don't know what the hell she wants from you, but it would be very unlikely for her not to try to at least get into a headspace where she could have some form of sexual intimacy if she wants to remain married. So you should get her into couples counseling. This is like the majority of the people I work with are in this situation, the couples that I work with at this point. But I have so much written about that. And, I'm sure you've tried to send her my podcast and she didn't like it. But, so don't do that anymore if that's the case. But you could definitely try to get her into couples counseling. Also, if she's open to the hormone patch with estrogen, she may be open to taking some testosterone as well. So looping back to the earlier discussion, if you could get her into a functional medicine doctor and they might want to try testosterone too, who knows? Because that is the active libido agent in both men and women. Testosterone, which a lot of people just think in men. And if you've watched this long, which so many of you have, and especially you, Brad, you should be sending likes and loves. And if you see a potential for stars, you should send those too. So great question, guys. And I hope that was useful for you, Brad. Yeah, don't send her a podcast, Brad. Avoidant women that don't like sex, the last thing that they want to hear is a woman saying that they should have sex. That doesn't seem like a woman to them. That seems like a betrayer, a traitor, a gender traitor. So she's not going to like me. Of course, if she met me, she might like me. Many women who don't like my podcast get dragged into therapy and end up not disliking me and even sometimes liking me over time because I am really for both people in the unit. I am for both people. And if you, Brad, or anybody that ever came in, if you act like an asshole, I'm going to call that out 1,000%. And after a couple times of having you called out as an asshole for whatever assholery you do, she's probably going to be in the headspace where she's going to try, because whatever, you're trying and you're getting through some therapy where you're hearing some tough truths too. That's how it usually goes. Paul says, love your matter-of-fact analysis and advice. After my messages to you yesterday afternoon, my wife and I actually spoke openly and without the emotion for the first time. We actually moved forward. Thank you. Well, I do not remember exactly what I advised you, Paul, but I'm glad it was transformative. And that's because I am awesome. No, it's because you did some good work. Good job bringing that shit up with your wife. Brad says, I really want to find a sex-positive counselor for us, but I'm not sure where to start. Now, I did not plant Brad, but that would be an excellent straight line because, Brad, I not only am a sex-positive counselor, but I have people working for me. I have coaches working for me. I have so many people working for me at Best Life Behavioral Health. So you could definitely reach out to us at info@bestlifebehavioralhealth.com, or you could message me, and then I could set you up with somebody. That's how to do it. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. All right, any more questions from y'all? This has been a very productive live. We're going to get Brad's marriage on track for sure. We already got Paul's marriage on track, although that was yesterday's live. I have made Amber very scared about her child growing up, so that's not a win, but whatever. Any more questions? Brad says, your podcast has been incredible in helping me better understand my wife. Thank you so much. You are welcome. That's very nice of you. And I hear that a lot, that I help men understand their wives and I help women understand their husbands. I get equal amount of positive messages too. And they really help me on the days that I get lots of hate mail, which is every day that ends in Y because people can't handle the truth, as they say. So yeah. Somebody liked my joke. All right, keep sending likes, guys. And does anybody have any more questions? I see some people who are there but haven't asked any questions. Don't let this opportunity get away from you. This is quite the opportunity. You have my undivided attention. Undivided. I don't do any more blog answers. I used to answer on my blog. I used to answer like a whole question. Somebody would write in a question and I would answer it in a blog post. I don't have time to do that anymore, but I do a lot of them quick in these lives, And you know who I saw? What's his name? What's that money guy? Dave Ramsey. I saw he does the same thing. He answers questions. Now, Dave Ramsey and I are a lot different because I'm more famous, but he's trying. No, just kidding. But anyway, other people do this too. So I thought it was a good sort of modality to answer a lot of questions quickly. So I could do one more question or topic suggestion. Nathan says, what's the best New York style pizza in Brooklyn? I don't remember. Oh, Spumoni Gardens, I'll tell you. Spumoni Gardens. If are you going to Brooklyn, go to Spumoni Gardens. And Brad here says, what's the best way to start the conversation to try to heal empathic ruptures I've caused many years ago? I literally have a post walking you through that, Brad. It is just go to drpsychmom.com and put in the search bar empathic ruptures. Literally, I guide you through it. It is a manual. So just open up another window or jot it down or replay this post, this live. Go to drpsychmom.com. Also, by the way, I have a podcast on that if you're more of a guy who likes to listen, as so many guys are, and it's called Empathic Ruptures. And it may be one of the paid ones. I think it is. So whatever. That's $8.99. Who cares? It is so useful. And you could cancel right afterwards. Not that you'll want to, because I have 140 awesome subscriber-only episodes. But they put this thing in Spotify now. That's a transcript feature, which is awesome for those of us who like to read instead, and you can get through it super. Oh, you are a paid subscriber. Well, good job there. To the podcast as well, then you have it. So go to Empathic Ruptures, literally. Go to the Spotify app, scroll, the top has a search bar within the, so go to the Dr. Psych Mom show, then within the search bar, you type in Empathic Ruptures. Nathan says, it's great that you're live and it's not in the middle of the week. Yes, sometimes I can do this, Nathan. And this is an opportunity for all of us. To get my awesome advice in the middle of the weekend, which is easier for many of us who work. Not that that is my work, but for those of you who work. So yeah, maybe one more question, because those two came really quick. Let's see if I have one more question, maybe from a female, but you guys can keep on going too. I see there's 25 watching, so please send likes. I want to get up to 100 likes on this one. That would be great for me. Send likes, send love, send all manner of things. Brad, you should be sending 1 million likes by yourself because I helped you, man, a lot. Thank you. I see some more likes now. 30 people watching. Oh, hello. A lot of people watching. That's great. Great, great. People want to know how to self-develop and self-actualize. It's like a hobby. It's like a hobby of Americans is self-actualization, which is great, you know. It's better than, you know, graffiti or like something like that. Although, I like graffiti. But anyway, I'm watching a new show. It's awesome. It's, but I'm not going to tell you it because one of you might spoil it for me. So I'm only going to tell you when the season is done, and then I'll go back and tell you guys because it's hilarious, and I'll tell you that. But I did finish watching Billions, and I have also finished watching Succession. And for people that like a psychological feel to things, they should watch both of those. And if you had an asshole narcissist father, you should be watching Succession because that is what Logan is. And I talk about Succession a lot with men who feel out-alphaed by their father. And I have a podcast on when your father out-alphas you and what that does to you. And what it does is something bad. And so you can watch Succession and or you could listen to my podcast about that. And often those men are self-made men. The self-made man is what Logan was. Brad says he loves both of those shows. Yes, Brad, let me think about other shows to see if you'll love those too. Oh, you know what was good recently? Love and Death was really interesting psychologically. Oh, here's Shoria. Hello, Shoria. Dating women who have physical touch love language is a game changer, but very few of them are single. LOL. I'm not dating the taken ones. LOL. If you LOL that much, I'm going to think you're sleeping with married women. But I'm glad that you're doing that for sure. I don't know, what are you like asking in the beginning? But it's easy to tell who has a physical touch love language. They're going to be kind of touchy, like right away. They're going to be touchy. They're going to like sit next to you. They're going to want to kiss. They're going to have sex. They're going to do a lot of stuff. So physical touch love language. And then some people say, this is my favorite. This is so stupid, right? People say, there's not as many physical touch love language women to go around. So how could all men be in happy marriages? Well, I don't mean to like tell you there's no tooth fairy, but not everybody's going to be in a happy marriage. Also, like not everybody can do anything. Does that stop you from wanting to do it? Not everybody can get into like a good college. Do you tell your child that when they're trying? No, you say if you try hard enough, maybe you can be the one who can. And that is what I am telling people about happy marriages. There's all these people that don't give a shit about like anything, learning about relationships at all. So let those people wander around blindly and you be the one who knows about love languages and compatibility, right? Go for the gold. So if you're a person that is watching this that understands about compatibility, then you're ahead of the pack. Wonderful. There are millions upon millions of women who enjoy sex. There are millions upon millions of men who enjoy romance. Shouldn't my followers be the ones who get both of those? I think so, for sure. You're trying, so you're ahead of the game. So many people aren't even trying. Amen on that. That's what Rita said. Yes. Like, if people want to try to have a healthy marriage, it's not like everybody could do that when they're young, right? But most of my followers, we're not so young anymore. So I can attest to the fact that if you are more self-aware, you can go into a second marriage that's more compatible and that's more fulfilling. I did that myself. I didn't know shit about myself when I got married when I was young, right? Nobody does. But if you're back on the market and you're trying to date now, then certainly take all of the insights that you have and bring them to bear in your dating, right? Because otherwise that would be quite stupid. Jenny Lee says, hopeful. Yes, if you're following me, you're at least ahead of the game. You understand, like, who you're attracted to and why. You understand the importance of your childhood and the relationship you saw between your parents. You may be thinking about what you want and what you don't want, you know? You're trying to be flexible. You're trying to be open-minded. You're trying to empathize with the opposite sex. You're going to be ahead of the game. That's literally the point of single or divorced people. Those are the same, usually following me, because they want to learn more about themselves and prevent themselves from getting into a second dysfunctional relationship. And Rita says, yes, so many give up before they start. Yes, all these men and women say there's nobody good out there and my relationships are all going to suck, so why even try? That is a shitty attitude, you know? And of course, if you're negative, then negative things are going to happen. Brad said, I wish I had your advice 25 years ago. I wish I had my advice 25 years ago. And, but none of us had my advice or really would have listened to any advice at all 25 years ago. Because at that point, at least I was, somebody's got to be better at math than me. What was I, 17? At 17, you still think that your life is going to be a rom-com. And everything's going to be awesome and perfect. And nobody who's old knows anything. And everything is going to be better for you than it was for anybody else. Because that's called the folly of youth. But now we are no longer young, and so people can go in with their eyes open to the dating market and find a really compatible mate. And if you're working on your existing relationship, you can use the insights that you're getting to make your relationship more functional and make it less like just what it was when it was dysfunctional, which is likely what your parents' marriage was, etc. So anyway, this was a nice live. Thank you all for participating so much. Send me your likes if anybody wants to reach out, including this guy, for intimacy counseling or coaching or anything. My website is bestlifebehavioralhealth.com, and you can get to that from drpsychmom.com, which you should all go to. And also, you should all be part of my secret group. It's filled with open-minded, smart people. If you are some dude who's played devil's advocate and been nasty to me on the internet, do not join my secret group. I don't want you in my secret group, and I will remove you from my secret group. But everybody else is welcome as long as you have a sense of humor. $4.99 a month. Best money you ever spent, according to many of my participants. And that's the blue subscribe button on the Dr. Psych Mom Facebook page. And I'll talk to everybody later. Have a great weekend.